Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to a brand new episode of Let's Whine About DMV Sports here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tonight, we've got some big things to talk about, folks. The Commanders are playing in a divisional playoff game right now. As we speak, as I do the introduction to the show, they are playing in their first divisional championship game since 2005. We're going to talk about how they managed to pull it off last week, and we're going to be doing live updates. There's no point in doing a plan for the game because it's already happening. We also have the Ravens playing tomorrow, massive matchup against the Bills. We're going to preview that. And then, of course, we do have to dedicate just a little bit of time, just a little bit, to our other teams. We're going to look at the week that was for the Caps and the week that was for the Wizards. Fun fact, averaged amount, they went 500. But I think if you've been following the show, you can guess where all of the wins came from and where all of the losses come from. And we're going to be doing all of that while continuing our value wine month with our white wine pick. We've got all that and more coming up on Let's Whine About DMV Sports on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Once again, good evening, sports fans, and welcome to a brand new episode of Let's Whine About DMV Sports here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, and who, for the past 10, almost 11 years, and counting, has been bringing you amazing sports content, ranging from interviewing legendary athletes to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities across the country. If you have not done so already, please follow us on all social media platforms, minus one. We're not going to talk about the TikTok ban. We're just going to keep pushing forward with what we got. But do follow us on X, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at IE Sports Radio. You can also follow yours truly on X at Let's Whine _ISR with potentially more new social media options coming in the next week or so. You can listen to us live, or you can listen to us at all of these options below. We've got Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, and so much more. And whether you are listening currently live or later on in the week, any view is appreciated. We really do appreciate our fans, all of our fans. And if you have not done so already, please visit the iesportsradio.com. There you will find our merchandise, iesportsradio.com /shop. You can find, we've got hats, shirts, hoodies, merchandise, Christmas ornaments for Christmas time if you want to get started. Christmas is only 11 months away, guys. You got to get ahead of it. But we've got all of that through our merchandise page. We also find our show pages for all 30 plus shows that we have here on the network. A little bit about the show and the voice behind it. This link is for yours truly, but you can find all of them through the website. You can also find the blog, which you can find through the website or at iesportsradioblog.wordpress.com. You can also follow the blog on Twitter at IESR_blog. So do check that out. That's a brand new account just getting started up. It's going to be sharing mostly our old blog posts as it gets going, but it's going to be sharing the new stuff as it comes out. So do be sure to follow that on Twitter as well. And you can also find our Hall of Fame, Fan of the Month page, show schedules. You can find a whole bunch of information on the website. And of course, none of this would be possible without our sponsors. And we're going to take a little moment to learn more about them.
Hi, eSports Radio fans. This show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, eSports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clinking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. eSports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
And welcome back to Let's Whine About DMV Sports here on eSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Once again, shout out to our sponsors, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, jerky that's on a whole other planet. They've got flavors ranging from your simple flavors, classic, barbecue, all the way up to volcanic jalapeno, ghost pepper, Carolina Reaper, the stuff that's got a real kick to it. So do check them out on Instagram at Planet Jerky and order from their website, planetjerky.net. It's really not that expensive. It's only like 10, 12 bucks for a pack, which for custom premium jerky is pretty darn reasonable. Have you seen the prices in grocery stores these days? It's not really getting that much better. Also, Seal the Deal Wax Seals, custom seals by Cecilia B. Perfect added touches for a special occasion, wedding, fancy party, baby shower, all that and more, birthday party, a custom wax seal might be the nice last little touch that you need there. And so do follow her on Instagram at Seal the Deal Wax Seals. And you can also order her seals from IE Sports Radio /Seal the Deal Wax Seals. And IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Really big issue these days, really great cause that they go to. So do be sure to support them and use our code IESR. We have, like I said in the intro, massive sports to get to this evening. But of course, we must start with our beverage. And Larry B's been in the chat room giving us a play-by-play of his Temecula Wine Country tour. They started apparently in Masia de la Viña. Delicious reds and whites, two very good sweets. He had a Brut, Sparkling Brut 2020. Awesome. Malbec, pretty darn good. A red blend, it looks like. A Petite Syrah, California specialty. Petite Syrah is very good. Very dark. Very potent grape. And he had a Sauvignon Blanc, which is ironic because we're about to have a Sauvignon Blanc. But thank you for the tour, the play-by-play. And apparently he got $34 off his favorite bottle. So, hey, that's a great deal. Never turn down a deal like that on a good bottle of wine. He is so happy. I'm happy for you, sir. That is great to see, and great to see you getting out and about and trying different wines, especially being in California. I mean, how can you not, right? I mean, it's probably right in his backyard. He probably went out his back door and just walked to the winery. Yeah. So there you go. But back to our beverage. We are continuing our value brand month with California Roots. We have our white wine option this week. We're going with a Sauvignon Blanc. Now, why Sauvignon Blanc? You would think Chardonnay would normally be the safest bet. However, if you recall, we had previously done a value wine taste test competition where we got a whole bunch of different Chardonnays and brand like store brand Chardonnays and tested them against each other. And the California Roots pick was the Chardonnay. So the Chardonnay's already been featured on the show if you go back about a season and a half. So I wanted to try something different, something new. California makes very good Sauvignon Blanc for the most part. Some of it's a little weird, but for the most part, California makes very good Sauvignon Blanc, so I figured we should try it. And let's see, is there any interesting snippet on the back? There's pretty good snippets here. Let's see, crafted from premium grapes and grown under the warm California sun, our Sauvignon Blanc's lively passion fruit aromas and crisp citrus flavors evoke the carefree, lingering days of summer. Pairs perfectly with grilled fish and linguine with pesto. Very specific, but most Sauvignon Blanc would fall under that category. Enjoy pure vineyard to table goodness in every sip. So that sounds very enticing. So we've got our pour here in our official IE Sports Radio glass. Not much color to it, which is not uncommon for Sauvignon Blanc. It's not one of the more deeper colored white wines, so that's not uncommon. Definitely light body, maybe a little bit above light at best. The aromas are very strong, which again, Sauvignon Blanc might be among the white wines, at least your traditional white wine grape. Sauvignon Blanc might be the most aromatic. I mean, I remember one time at Total Wine, we had a bottle fell and broke, as you know, as it happens in wine stores, it happens from time to time. And it was a Sauvignon Blanc. And when I tell you that you could smell this bottle like all the way across the store because the aromas were so strong. By the way, the aromas were gooseberry, if you're familiar with gooseberry. And so there's just the smell of gooseberry filled the air, which, fun fact, if you are in an alcohol store and you smell alcohol, whether it be wine or beer, that is actually a bad sign. You're not supposed to be able to smell that. Everything's supposed to be sealed unless they're taste testing. So, yeah, if you happen to be wandering down a beer aisle and you're like, I smell IPA, I smell lovely hoppy piney aroma. Notify an associate, please, because you're not supposed to be able to smell that IPA. If you're wandering down a Sauvignon Blanc aisle and you're like, gooseberry, I smell lovely gooseberry. Notify an associate. You're not supposed to be able to smell that. But in any case, the aroma is very lovely. Definitely kind of getting a grapefruit, passion fruit, citrusy aroma on that nose, kind of to what the bottle said. So let's give it a test. Ooh. Hmm. You know, Interesting. This is an interesting one. The fruit flavors are there, but they're not overpowering. You definitely get a lot of citrus. The grapefruit comes from the palate all the way through, or from the nose all the way through the palate. So you definitely get that. A little bit of passion fruit. Hmm. You don't get any, like the moment you sip it, you don't get anything right off the bat. It has to sit on the palate for a couple of seconds there. But once it gets going, the flavors are lovely. The finish is easy. Very little bites, very little acidity, no tannin in white wines. This is actually quite nice. I actually kind of like this. That is lovely, man. Okay, California Roots. So update, last week we did the red blend. When I first tasted the red blend, it had some interesting complexity. It did not hold up over time, I will say this. So if you do the California Roots red blend, the sangria was fine. The sangria, it was great the day I drank it. It was great the next day. It was great a couple days after. Well, good. Great would be rich. But it was good all the way through. Sangria, no problem. If you do the red blend, I would recommend doing that with friends, family, and trying to get through the bottle relatively quickly because that one does lose its punch. It loses its quality. Might have been the bottle. Statistics show like 1 in 50 bottles have some small defect to them. Most people wouldn't even notice it, but if you run the numbers on the millions of bottles of wine produced every year, it's the small defects. Sure, you can ignore those, but some bottles might have something legitimately wrong with them. So that could have been the case, but either way, it was good to start. So for the red blend, do drink that one with friends so you can complete the bottle pretty quickly. This one, I will, of course, continue to sip because I don't drink a whole bottle of wine in one night. Fair enough. But in any case, great start. Very good. That might be my favorite of the three so far. The Sauvignon Blanc. Yes, California Roots. Sauvignon Blanc. Go get some of this today. That will make you very happy. Good to sip on its own. Would go well with lighter fares, like it said. The fish, the linguine with pesto sauce. That works. Chicken. Maybe not even pork. I would go really light on the food if you were going to eat this with the food. It's definitely more of a summer wine, I will say that. So maybe if you're having a light dinner, salad, some light hors d'oeuvres, that's what this would go well with. Go well with your appetizer course as an aperitif. But yeah, no, pretty good showing there by California Roots. We're going to take our first break. When we come back, we're actually going to get into some sports. Do not go away. You are listening to Let's Mind About DMV Sports here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, everybody? This is Darren Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunderous Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back to Let's Write About DMV Sports here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Now let's actually get into some sports. We're going to start with the non-football sports. We're just going to rapid fire get those out of the way really quick. We're going to start with the Caps. Great week, phenomenal week for the Caps. 3-0-0. They're actually currently playing right now. Let's get a quick game score update. But yes, 3-0-0 on the week, bringing them to 10-5 overall. That's 65 points on the season. That gets them to first place overall in the NFL. Or NHL. Whew, sorry, completely wrong sport there. And let's see how we're doing tonight. We are up 2-1 on the Penguins with 5 minutes and 40 seconds left here in the third period. Goals by Jacob Kaikren and Alieksky Protas. And another very good game from Logan Thompson, who, by the way, is the player of the week. Logan Thompson played all 3 games and this one, currently playing against the Penguins. He allowed 1 goal in 3 games, stopped 75 of 76 shots for a .987 save percentage. Phenomenal play. He has jumped into the top 5 in the 3 major goalie statistical categories that they post online, which is goals allowed against average, save percentage, and wins. He is top 5 in all 3 categories right now. Phenomenal streak he's on, and it looks like he's having an okay night tonight. I don't want to jinx him, but he's doing all right there as well. So I hate to say it, Caps, but the longer you wait to sign that extension, the more expensive he might be getting. So don't play with fire too much there, because yeah, the way this guy is playing, we are going to want to make sure that he stays in DC for a very long time. And of course, with Alex Ovechkin being back healthy, we are back to the Ovechkin record watch. He put up 2 goals in 3 games this week, brings him up to 874 overall, 20 to tie Wayne Gretzky's record, 21 to beat. So very good showing there. Everything's clicking. The offense hasn't been outstanding. I believe one of his goals was an overtime game winner in a game that was 1-0. One of Thompson's shutouts. So the offense hasn't been particularly fantastic. Actually, yeah, I mean, 8 goals in 3 games is not particularly outstanding, but when you only give up 1 goal, usually gets the job done. So, hey, I'm not saying let's continue to lean on Thompson's hot streak, but he is definitely playing very well. And as we've been discussing in the NBA, we haven't really been discussing in the NHL trade rumors. The NHL trade deadline, the All-Star game, I believe, is in the beginning of February, and the trade deadline not long after. So the little murmurings that we're seeing on the Caps is that if they are going to target anything, it would be a bottom 6 forward. They've already made one trade when they acquired Lars Eller back from the Penguins earlier in the season. But yes, that would be the prevailing theory is if they do anything, it is going to be for a bottom six forward, which makes some sense when you look at the guys they have been using regularly in the bottom six. Sonny Milano's been hurt most of the year. Jacob Vrana has been in and out of the lineup. Brandon Duheim and Taylor Radish have been inconsistent. Decent. I mean, Duheim more so than Radish has been more consistent. He's been pretty good on the fourth line. I don't think they would be targeting a center specifically because I think they're happy with Eller and Nick Dowd manning the third and the fourth lines. Plus, push comes to shove, they could give Hendrix Lapierre another shot, or if needed, they might be able to bounce Connor McMichael down to a bottom six line center if need be. So I don't think they'll be going that route. I do think if they were to trade, I would like to see Sonny Milano gone in the deal. And the reason why I say that, nothing against Milano, he's played well as a bottom six guy, but he's been hurt most of the year. The few games he has played, he has the worst plus minus on the team, and he's owed about $2 million next year. And I think that bottom six spot needs to be reserved for some of these young guys, not just Miroshnichenko, but also Ethan Frank, who has come up and played well in a few games. By the way, shout out to Ethan Frank. I'm glad I brought him up. Rookie made his appearance 4 games ago. In 4 games, has 3 points. That's a pretty good rate. So I think he might be an intriguing piece moving forward. Plus, the team is probably going to see the addition of Ryan Leonard either by the end of this season or beginning of next season, top prospect. So space needs to be made for these guys. And I think Milano, if they can move him along with his $1.9 million salary to help what could be a potentially very tight salary cap situation for the Caps, that would be beneficial. Some people are suggesting that if the Caps don't want to give up a first or a second round pick, that they might have to give up one of their top defensive prospects. I guess I'd be as long as it's not Vincent Yorio or Cole Hudson, or I would be okay with it. They mentioned Ryan Chesley. That would be the one of the top 4, which the top 4 defensive prospects are Hudson, Yorio, Chesley, and Leon Mugelli. I think of those 4, I'd be okay with Chesley if he was go, but I feel like for a bottom 6 center, if they were to throw in Sonny Milano in the deal, maybe they could get away with a more of a mid-round pick. Maybe not. I don't know what the trade market's going to be like, but maybe they give up Milano and Chesley and they get back a decent forward with a contract would be sweet, I think. But yeah, we'll see. I could also buy if they were to do if they could find somebody willing to trade a center who had a contract, because Lars Eller and Nick Dowd are both free agents after the season. They could also move Nick Dowd to the wings and either slot this center in as the 4th line center or slot him as the 3rd and bump Eller down to the 4th. Either way, they've got some flexibility because Dowd can play any of the 3 forward positions. But just, if you're a team entering the trade deadline and the only thing that people are rumoring you to be trading for is a bottom 6 forward, and even then probably only one, you're in a pretty darn good position. So I'll take that. And I don't think, based on that record right there, I don't think anybody's arguing that the Caps aren't playing phenomenal hockey and aren't in a phenomenal position, as we have passed the halfway point through 46 games if you include tonight. Only 36 remaining. The hockey season is flying by, and before you know it, we'll be talking playoffs. Playoffs! I know, right? It's going to happen soon. And, all I can hope is that they keep up this play, or at least something similar to it. Look, if they went, let's see, was that 36 games? Let's include tonight, 37 games. If they went 15, and 7, for example, or let's be more reasonable on like more of a 500. Yeah, I mean, they'd get up to 100 points. So that's all you need to make the playoffs usually. So even if they only go like 500 the rest of the way, this is still a postseason team. So in any case, let's move to a team that will not be in the postseason, and that is the Washington Lizards. That's right. The Lizards nickname has returned because the team went 0-3 again. This is their second straight 0 for week. They went 0 for 4 last week. 0 for 3 this week drops them to 6-33 on the season. They have an 8-game losing streak. They are playing tonight. I don't know how the game is going. I'm assuming it's bad. They're in the midst of a 6-game road West Coast trip. So I cannot imagine that's going to go very well. But in any case, worst team in the league by 2.5 games. They are truly earning the Lizards nickname. And hey, they're doing everything they can for the lottery. It's just going to come down to how the ping pong balls landed. They did okay last year. They were projected to. They got to. Normally, I mean, historically in the lottery, they have almost, I think every time in the lottery, at least since they updated the system, which I think they updated it, somebody correct me, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, every time they've landed exactly where they were projected. So, hey, I'd love to keep that trend going. Player of the week, no one. Nobody gets a Player of the Week award when you're on an 8-game losing streak. There is no Player of the Week because you're not winning games. If I had to give a shout out, I'd give it out to Kaishawn George, who the rookie forward had his best game of his career last night or 2 nights ago with 24 points off the bench. I'm excited to see more of him moving forward. I like him off the bench in that hybrid 3-4 spot, especially if he continues growing like people saying. He's listed as 6'8", but apparently he's got a chance to end up at 6'9" or 6'10", which really makes him an intriguing option off the bench as a 3-and-D forward, not necessarily a primary ball handler, but somebody who provides minutes at those two spots and can shoot the 3 and play good defense. So we'll see how that plays out over time. Obviously, that's looking a couple years into the future. Trade deadline is rapidly approaching. Rumors continue to swirl about Kyle Kuzma and Jonas Valanciunas. Those are the two main ones that people have been talking about. Lesser so Brogdon and even lesser so Jordan Poole. Hey, if they can just move off of Valanciunas, Kuzma, and Brogdon, I would be okay with that. But the first kind of significant trade happened this past week when the Suns acquired Nick Richards from the Charlotte Hornets. So we have seen a domino start to fall, and the question is, will that be like that first little snowball that causes an avalanche, or is there more waiting time before things really start to get going? I really want to see some moves because I want to see more from secondary players. We've been seeing great play from Jared Butler, who started the year on a 2-way contract, but he's been playing consistent minutes and giving consistently good play off the bench as a backup point guard. And, he's not the only one I want to see. Tristan Vucevic has been playing very well for the Capital City Go-Go. I would like to see Valanciunas move so that he could get some time in the center and off the bench at the center spot. Him and Sar could be a really intriguing duo moving forward. And I want to continue to see more Justin Champagny. And I want to see a little bit more out of Johnny Davis. I know they declined his option, but I want to see what there's there. I want to see if something's there. I want to see more out of Davis. And then opening up some time for when Sadiq Bey is finally healthy and can go. Other guys on the bench, Marvin Bagley, don't care if he plays another minute for the team, whatever. He was acquired last year at a deadline deal that netted us a couple second-round picks, so he served his purpose. I don't think anybody's really going to be jumping out of their shoes to see him play or to trade for him. Same with Rashawn Holmes, same with Patrick Baldwin, and same with Anthony Gill. But we know that the rookies have been getting their playing time. The young players, the quartet we've been talking about, Koulibaly, George, Carrington, and Sar. They've been getting their minutes. They're going to continue to get their minutes. But what I want to see as they move some of these other guys is some of these secondary players, guys who are not starters, maybe not even top rotation guys in the league, but guys who would fill that 9 to 12 portion of the roster, kind of that, I don't want to call it the bottom third, but kind of that third quarter of the roster, guys that are not key rotation players, but will get regular minutes in a variety of situations. Those are the guys that I want to see more out of. And moving forward, honestly, I mean, if the team establishes a really good top eight involving, the core four plus Kispert plus Poole plus their top draft pick plus maybe another piece, probably a piece they would get back in a trade, probably a salary dump, then I have no problem with a 9 through 12 on the roster being uh, Sadiq Bey, Jared Butler, Justin Champagny, and Tristan Vucevic. I think, based on what I have seen in limited minutes, I think that would be a totally fine quarter right there, 9 through 12. I'd be happy with that if we solidified the top 8 and got Cooper Flag. I'm not going to lie. It's all about Cooper Flag for me right now. If they don't land him, or, Ace Bailey would be good as well. Dylan Harper, Ego Derman, one of those four. Add one of those four to the team, then I'm good. I'm good with that. And then there's a little bit of remnant baseball news. The Nationals signed reserve utility infielder Ahmed Rosario to a one-year deal. That should bolster the depth in the infield. Not much else happening there. The Orioles, they signed reserve or relief pitcher Kittredge. I think that might have been on last week's show. Somebody to bolster the bullpen. Everybody missed on Roki Sasaki. Nobody's surprised about that one. The Nationals and Orioles were never really in that sweepstakes. That was just kind of a pipe dream. That'll do it for the first sports part of our show. We're going to take a quick break. From here on out, it's all football, guys. So do not go away. You're listening to Let's Whine About DMV Sports here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, Pittsburgh? This is Ralph Calise, the host of the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Are you that passionate, die-hard Steelers, Penguins, Pirates, or just a Pittsburgh sports fan? Then please join me on the Injury Report every Tuesday on IE Sports Radio, the direct feed for all that is sports. And I will update you on all that's black and gold, and have you telling your Pittsburgh fans and friends what's up with Pittsburgh sports. Tune in Tuesday with me, Ralph Calise, the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go!
Hey, Cleveland and Columbus sports fans. This is Jen B, host of the Show of the Land on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. If you love Cleveland and Columbus sports like I do, be sure to tune in live to the Show of the Land on Tuesdays, where we will cover the Cleveland Browns, Cavs, Guardians, and Monsters. We will also talk about the Columbus Blue Jackets, Crew, Fury, and of course, the Ohio State Buckeyes. We'll also cover other colleges in the area like Akron, Kent State, Cleveland State, Mount Union, John Carroll, Baldwin Wallace, Youngstown State, among others. So like I said, if you love Cleveland and Columbus sports like I do, be sure to tune in Tuesdays to the Show of the Land with Jen B on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back to Let's Whine About DMV Sports here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We are going to do something I have never done on this show before. We are going to give a live score update of an NFL playoff game because the Commanders are beating the Lions, folks, with just with about a minute and a half left in the second quarter before halftime. It's 31-21. Great game so far, high scoring affair. One of those Commanders' touchdowns was a pick six by Quan Martin, which I did not have on my bingo card for this game, but nonetheless, pretty interesting start. We'll see how the game finishes. I do not have any expectations, by the way, for this game. If the Commanders lose, it'll be the end of an absolutely phenomenal season, one of the best seasons, probably the best season we've had since 1991, the Super Bowl run. And I don't think many Commanders fans would disagree with me, especially after we defeated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 23-20 on a last-second Zane Gonzalez field goal. And that advanced us to this game here against the Lions. There's no point in doing a preview, keys to the game, because the game's already going on, so there's not much point in talking about it. But this was a phenomenal game against the Buccaneers, probably the best game of the weekend, wild card weekend, which featured some strangely uncompetitive matchups. My goodness, we're going to talk about another one in a little bit here, but this was a good game, a tough game, a well-fought game, revenge game for week one when the Bucs soundly beat the Commanders. My, how the tables have turned. We won the game that was more important, Tampa. Tampa was a little bit snarky on X after the game, so, there was a little bit of snip, 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 snip between the fan bases, but, nothing more than a usual football game. Player of the game, this was no contest. Quarterback Jaden Daniels pretty much did it by himself on the ground. Productive game through the air. No turnovers. Didn't even punt the ball, actually. And just looking not like a rookie at all. Cool as a cucumber. And led that final drive. Got him down into field goal range where Zane Gonzalez doinked it in, hit it off the inside part of the upright so that it would go in. And voila, here we are in the divisional round for the first time since 2005. That's a weird stat to say. I was in high school, I believe, when that all happened. Was I in still middle school? Yeah. If it was January of 2005, I still would have been in middle school. So, yeah, like I said, probably the best season the Commanders have had since 1991. And if it for to end tonight, if Detroit were to take care of business, I would not lose an ounce of sleep over it because the Commanders have had a great season. This is not a perfect roster. There are still holes in places. I'm not going to say we're a great team. This is not the last ride for this squad. They will be back and hopefully better in the coming years, or at least more complete. So yeah, no. We'll see how the rest of the game goes. I put my keys on X for them earlier, which is have fun, play loose, and do not get hurt. Very important last key. If we're going to end the season tonight, let's not end it with injuries that are going to linger and over into and affect next year. On the flip side of it, the Ravens, also in the wild card round, defeated the Steelers 28-14 in a game that was pretty non-competitive through the first three quarters. Pittsburgh mounted a little bit of a comeback there towards the end, but at the end, overall, it was not enough. So Baltimore advances to the divisional round against Buffalo. Player of the game, again, no contest. Derrick Henry had 186 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, just busting through this defense. Honorable mention to defensive tackle Nnamdi Madubuike. He had 2 sacks and a couple other good plays, so he showed up phenomenally in his playoff game. So yeah, keep doing that, Nnamdi, because we're gonna need you this upcoming week against a very, very good Bills team with a great quarterback who is playing at an MVP level. Debate about if it's him or Lamar. Honestly, I think it might be 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Heck, I would be all right if they named them co-MVPs for all I care. But let's get into the keys of the game. That game being tomorrow night at 8 p.m. because for some reason I cannot avoid the 8 p.m. time slot for my team's games. If you recall last week during the show live, we had the Ravens Steelers, and then the Commanders played on Sunday Night Football. I would love an afternoon game to get it all out of the way, but it is what it is. So let's get to the keys of the game. Keys of the game on offense. Unleash Lamar's legs. It's going to be cold. Throwing the ball is going to be a challenge, and you'll see a note on Zay Flowers likely not playing. That one of his key weapons. You're going to be a little bit harder pressed in the passing game, so unleashing his legs and getting that going is going to be a big key. Getting the early lead. Get the early lead, which is important. Make the Bills play from behind and try to have Josh Allen make those Brett Favre-esque gunslinger plays, which he's very good at making, but he also messes them up sometimes. If you recall, in the first game of the season against the Bills, we got out to an early lead, and Josh Allen was getting ready to make one of those plays, but he screwed it up. Not an indictment of Josh Allen. He's still an excellent player, but those gunslinger, like wild scramble around, it's the plays that Lamar Jackson makes. We see the highlights of the plays that work, but they don't always all work, guys. And Lamar messes them up too. Patrick Mahomes messes them up. Joe Burrow messes them up. Jaden Daniels, they all mess them up from time to time. It's not perfect. And the more you can force a player to have to do something ridiculous, the more likely it is to mess up. So get the early lead. Find Zay Flowers replacement. Zay Flowers unlikely to play. If they can find somebody who can replace his playmaking ability for just one game so that the team is not completely one-dimensional. Rashad Bateman, good. Mark Andrews, good. Who's going to be the other guy? Is it going to be Isaiah Likely? Is it going to be Devontae Walker? Is it going to be Justice Hill? Who's going to be the guy who step up and make some more plays? Last week it was Isaiah Likely. He made a couple of plays, but they need to have the guy in place. And then once all is said and done, unleash Derrick Henry. Get the early lead. Get Lamar's legs going so that you get to the mid to late third quarter and you start unleashing Derrick Henry on this Bills defense. And no indictment to the Bills defense, but not many people can stop Derrick Henry. So if you get to that stage of the game, you've got that lead. Unleash Derrick Henry and make them stop him, because that is a tall task. Keys to the game on the defensive side of the ball. Contain the run game. Now, most people would say contain Josh Allen. Well, no. I mean, yes, that is part of it. But Buffalo also has a really talented running back in James Cook. And they need to stop both of them, because if Allen's legs aren't working, that might not matter if James Cook gets going and he beats you that way. So they need to contain the run game. That's a big key. Both Josh Allen and James Cook. It's a very good offensive line, and James Cook had an excellent season. So containing the run game, not letting them beat you that way. Key number 2, protect Brandon Stephens. Brandon Stephens is the left cornerback on this team. He plays opposite of Marlon Humphrey. Marlon Humphrey moves to the slot in 3 cornerback sets, and Nate Wiggins or Tre'Davious White usually come on as the other boundary corner. Brandon Stephens has not had a good season. He did not have a good game last week. They cannot let Brandon Stephens be the downfall of this defense. Now, how do they protect him? It's going to come from the backside. It's going to come from Kyle Hamilton. It's going to come from Ardarius Washington. And it's going to come from whoever they use as the third safety, knowing who the matchup is. If it's Mari Cooper, then there's going to need to be additional help on that side. If it's going to be Khalil Shakir, Stephens might be able to manage that one. He might not be. And if it's going to be Keon Coleman, again, rookie receiver, he might be able to manage that one. He might not. I imagine most of the matchup is going to be with Coleman. or Cooper. I imagine they might try to get Amari Cooper, who is their best receiver, matched up on the outside against Stevens. But keeping an eye on that matchup and not letting that be the thing that allows the Bills to beat you. And third, and this is a huge one for the Ravens. This has been a big one all year. Get home on the pass rush. They have a lot of guys who have gotten a lot of pressures, but a lot of their sack production has come from guys who are not defensive linemen or edge rushers. They need to get home on the pass rush. I'm talking about Odafe Owe. I'm talking about Nnamdi Madubuike keeping his momentum going from last year. I'm talking about Travis Jones. Kyle Van Noy had a good season. Let's keep that going. Who else? David Ojabo, if he plays. Get home on the pass rush, because if Josh Allen evades the rush and gets outside of the pocket, it is a dangerous game to play. That is something that they cannot let happen. So those are the keys. Not an easy task, not an easy game, not one that I'm saying that they're going to win. It is going to be close. It is going to be tough. It is going to be cold. But this is Baltimore Ravens football. None of these terms are foreign terms. They played every playoff team that made it in the AFC playoffs this year, and they were a combined 7-2. Am I getting that number right? 6 playoff teams, 5-2. They were combined 5-2 because they played the Steelers twice. Their only losses were to the Steelers and to the Chiefs by a toe in the first game of the season. Now, the winner of this game, whether it's the Ravens or the Bills, they get a very tall task, and that is going into Kansas City, who beat the Texans today. Not dominantly, but they did beat them. Going into Kansas City and unseating the two-time champion on the quest for a three-peat. That is not going to be easy for Buffalo. That is not going to be easy for Baltimore. Do I think both of these teams have the talent to do it? Yes. Do I think both of these teams have enough momentum where if they win this game, they'll be able to carry that momentum in the next week and win? Yes, I do. The schedule might be against them. They're playing late on Sunday. The Chiefs played early on Saturday. That gives the Chiefs an extra day and a half to rest, no matter when they play. Well, a day and a quarter. So they'll be at a little bit of a disadvantage. They'll have just played a very tough game, and they're going to be tasked with going into Kansas City and winning. So Baltimore, Buffalo, going to be a great game. Might be the game of the weekend unless Washington continues to have this very interesting game that they are having against Detroit, which has made it to halftime at 31-21. That will do it for tonight's show. Thank you all for tuning in. Reminder, if you've not done so already, to please follow us on X, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at IE Sports Radio. Do follow yours truly on X at @let'sline_IESR. Be sure to listen to us on all of these options below: Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and more. Be sure to visit the website, IESportsRadio.com, where you can find our merchandise, our show pages, our blog, and so much more. Once again, shout out to sponsors Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, Seal the Deal Wax Seals, and Vital Apparel. We appreciate all of you guys. We appreciate all of you listeners. We appreciate Larry B being in the chat room telling us his wine stories. And of course, I must end with the show's main message, which is please drink responsibly. Do not drink and drive. One of my favorite social media posts regarding this topic is that you can afford an Uber or a taxi before you can afford a DUI. So please drink responsibly. Do not drink and drive. It is simply not worth it. I will not be going anywhere after this, and if you have been drinking, neither should you. So if you're at home, please stay put. Or if you're out and about enjoying the playoff game, enjoying some basketball, hockey, college basketball, whatever your pleasure may be, please find an alternative method home: Uber, taxi, designated driver, Lyft, Amazon ship yourself home, just whatever it is. Please do not drink and drive. It is simply not worth it. Once again, thank you all for tuning in. This has been Mike Patt for Let's Line About DMV Sports on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Have a great week. See you next time.